On 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, 2 billion Muslims and including me celebrate Eid-ul-Adha and sacrifice animals such as goat, cow and sheep. But why? That's why in this video we'll know why Muslims sacrifice animals.
حين محل البلاء جئت إليك ذليلا أناجي من لي غيرك.
4,000 years ago, Ibrahim A.S. was born in kingdom of Babylon. In present time, it is Iraq. At that time, idols were worshipped, and Ibrahim's father Azar was a famous and well-known sculptor of that time. But Ibrahim couldn't understand why they worship idols in the temples. His father explained that statues represent God and people would offer them food whilst asking for favor. But this explanation didn't satisfy Ibrahim. As he grew older, Ibrahim A.S. more convinced that idols that his people worshipped were false. He would often question how could statues of wood and stones be a god. Then one night, Ibrahim traveled up on the mountain to observe nature and see the sky. But a while later, Ibrahim heard a voice calling him. It was none other than his God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he commanded Ibrahim to submit and become a Muslim. Now, Ibrahim A.S. started calling people to the truth. But first, he went to his father, who he loved so dearly, and said, "Oh father, why do you worship that which doesn't hear and doesn't see and cannot avail you in anything? Oh father, I have got knowledge which you have not. So follow me, I will guide you to the straight path." But angrily, his father rejected his request and said, "Get out from my sight." Ibrahim A.S. started trying to convince people by telling them about power, wisdom, and oneness of Allah. However, the people not gave up but clung fast to idolatry. Now, he decided to do something about their state of disbelief, but he did not reveal it. One day, there was a great celebration going on the other bank of the river, and Ibrahim A.S. waited until the city became empty. He went in the temple with carrying a sharp axe. He looked at the wood and stone statues and at the food laid in front of them as offerings and said, "Will you not eat of the offering before you? What is the matter with you that you do not speak?" Then Ibrahim A.S. immediately raised the axe and began to destroy false gods that were worshipped by people. After destroying false gods, he showed to the people a practical proof of their foolishness in worshipping something other than Allah. After seeing it, idolaters decided to throw Ibrahim A.S. into the fire with the intent of burning him alive. They all started collecting wood for fire for several days. After collecting firewood, they dug a deep pit, filled it with firewood and ignited it, and they brought catapult in which they will cast Ibrahim A.S. into the fire. You might be thinking, what catapult? Yes, because the fire was extremely huge. Then the chief priest gave order to cast Ibrahim A.S. into the fire. Then the catapult was shot and Ibrahim A.S. was cast into the fire. The flames were still there, but they did not burn Ibrahim A.S. as Allah issued his command. "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Abraham." Then the fire became cold, but fire only burned the rope that bind Ibrahim A.S. When fire burned out, Hazrat Ibrahim A.S. walked out of the fire as if he walking out of a garden. The people, the chiefs, and the priest were shocked after seeing it. After some months, Ibrahim A.S. migrated to Syria and Palestine and then Egypt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the Prophet Ibrahim A.S. to prepare Hajar and baby Ismail for a long journey, and the family traveled to the Arabian desert. Ibrahim made Hajar and Ismail climb a hill called as Al-Marwa, and he left his wife and child under the shelter of a tree, equipped with a bag of dates and water. Hajar and Ismail's supplies of food and water were soon gone, and mother and son became increasingly dehydrated. Hajar ran up the hills of As-Safwa and Al-Marwa for 7 times, straining her eyes to see if anyone come and help them. And finally, she collapsed. Then Hajar heard a voice. The angel Jibreel appeared, striking his foot against a sandy ground. A stream of water gushed forth, and Hajar scooped up water to drink. The stream was called as Zamzam. To this day, Muslims on the Hajj pilgrimage used to drink this holy water. Then, years later, Ibrahim returned to Makkah to see his son a grown man, and he learned that Hajar had passed away in his absence. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to test Ibrahim's submission again. In a dream, the Prophet Ibrahim was instructed to sacrifice his son Ismail. Ibrahim told Ismail about the dream. Both agreed to submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ismail lay prostrate with his forehead touching ground while his father laid a sharp knife upon his neck. At this moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called down, "O Ibrahim, you have done my bidding, and now you will be rewarded." A large ram appeared as an alternative sacrifice. Instead of killing his son, Ibrahim.S slaughtered the sheep to the glory of God. And now you know why Muslims sacrifice an animal. And we also commemorate the obedience of Ibrahim.S by sacrificing animal, usually a sheep or a cow. Now, subscribe.
قل له كن